Easter Seals, New Hampshire is a community of care for all ages, for all abilities, for life. We want to thank GE Aerospace. The future of flight starts now. Now, as we get ready to see them jump, I want to just share with you, if I may, a little story about the national anthem, which will be sung here shortly. The year was 1814. Our young United States of America. As the Paracommandos come down, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Eric Chang, the voice of the Paracommandos. Buddy, you got it.
Thank you for having me. On behalf of the 73,000 servicemen and women spread across over 80 countries around the globe, it is our pleasure to be here for you. Now, you may have noticed our 3 jumpers that came straight off the tailgate, the red smoke trailing behind them. They were doing what's known as a track out. They're traveling upwards of 120 to 130 miles an hour prior to deploying their parachutes. You may also notice 2 other jumpers that are circling each other right now. They're about to perform what is called crew, otherwise known as canopy relativity work. Our lower jumper is actually going to fly into the legs of the higher jumper. That higher jumper is going to sit down on top of his canopy, slide down the suspension lines, wrap his feet around the risers of the lower jumper, and then from there, they're going to be linked together all the way to the ground. Our jumpers have approximately 40,000 jumps worth of experience. There's even a jumper in the air right now that has over 10,000 jumps personally.
This traditional air show opening is what we love to see every time we see it. Isn't that true, Eric?
Absolutely. Now, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like you to stand, remove your headgear for the singing of our national anthem by Air Force Sergeant Anna Arnold.
Oh, see, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallant, and the rockets' red glare, the balls bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Sergeant Arnold. And on behalf of the Special Operations Command and General Fenton, thank you for having us. Enjoy the rest of the air show. We're here all weekend. We're back again at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for our high show. We look forward to seeing you.
Thank you. From the Connecticut Air National Guard, the Yankees giving a wing wag on the C-130 Hercules that took aloft the Paracommandos. It'll be coming back into land, and then we're going to have an opportunity to see remains in production with new models to this day. At Hercules rolled off the line. They are flown not only by the United States Air Force, but also the United States Marine Corps. And look at the smoke, because right now, we've got Rob Holland overhead. Watch him go into a series of snap rolls spinning downward at over 250 miles per hour. About 13 turns, and he'll recover very, very rapidly in one of the most agile, unlimited aerobatic aircraft in the world today, the MXS single seat. But this one has a couple of extra letters on it. It's the MXS RH for Rob Holland. This guy, look at that. That is a quadruple knife edge tumble. Rob Holland has demonstrated his creativity to the world and won the World Freestyle Aerobatic Championship 5 times. Up he goes. Watch him now. A 4.2 points of a 4-point roll. Now watch him tumble the airplane very, very rapidly. Stops dead still in the air and throws the tail over the nose for a forward flip and a half. This is just the portion of what we'll see later on when Rob Holland, a graduate of Daniel Webster College and an air transport pilot, but one of the best known flyers in all of airspace, all of aviation today. The MXS RH is a very, very lightweight airplane, and it has an almost 350 horsepower motor on the front. And the composite materials with which this airframe was constructed are very, very strong. And that combination of strength and power from that motor and the propeller allows him to do tumbling maneuvers like you're seeing right now, and backing it up into a torque roll with the engine turning one way, forcing the aircraft to turn the other. He backs it up like a school bus. These tumbling maneuvers, 40 years ago, nobody ever believed, but nobody even believed were possible. Experiencing heavy G's, some 12 times the force of gravity for a short instance, as he does a pinwheel. I've never seen any other pilot in the world do that, and we're seeing it right here in New Hampshire. The Cobra maneuver, where he stops it dead still in the air, yanking that stick back into his lap and bringing it to a literal stop in midair. Does a very small inside flip. Now watch him. He's going to hang it on the propeller here. There's 10 seconds. There's 15 seconds. 15 seconds from an airplane to a helicopter. Ladies and gentlemen of Thunder over New Hampshire, put your hands together for Rob Holland. Now, Rob's too high to land, so he's going to put it into a flat spin. The airplane's now falling at about 3,000 feet per minute. And then he'll cross-control it, slipping it in to get right over the runway for his landing. Now watch, don't take your eyes off this guy. He'll touch the wheels. He says, I'm going to do a little more for you. And a quick roll for landing. He'll be back later on. He's got 2 shows to do today. He's going to go down to the seafood festival down the beach and perform there, but he will be back to do his full performance. Jet-powered vehicle, 25,000 horsepower, and has the advanced trainers, and we call them Warbird Thunder. The SNJ, or the AT-6, or the Royal Air Force and the Royal Canadian Air Force called it the Harvard. It was indeed an institution of advanced or higher learning. With a 600 horsepower motor, the pilots who learned to fly this and successfully completed the advanced phase of training would then move on to the Buick Eberhard. I'm going to let you listen to the sound of these radial piston engines by Pratt & Whitney, and that name will come back to you a lot today. Pratt & Whitney, one of the great strokes right to a crankshaft and right to the propeller. Here it comes, Warbird Thunder. Formation flying that we're seeing here is a very unique and challenging skill. It takes a great deal of consistent work to be able to do it. And as Chris and Mike demonstrate flying off the wing or going into trail formation and doing these maneuvers, it is lead pilot Chris Thomas's responsibility to choose the right altitude, the right attitude, and the right speed in order to lead him and his wingman, Mike Eberhard, through each and every maneuver safely. Now, in the trail formation here, as they get close to the ground, Mike Eberhard is only focused on a couple of spots on the lead aircraft, and he does not know where the ground ends and the sky begins. He only knows where he is with respect to
sound. Oh my.
By the way, Mike Eberhard is a New Hampshire native. He grew up in Claremont. He also attended Daniel Webster College in the aviation program.
Caught me off guard. I didn't think we'd have a strata tanker. No, they're always there. Yeah, no, they're always down there though. I went in there. Oh, speak of the devil. There's not like 18 of them.
The maneuver we see right now overhead is called the line abreast loop. Mike Eberhard having to look back off to one side to maintain his position, and then slides back into his normal off the left wing position. Now, ladies and gentlemen, demonstration of a special dedication for all of you with a heart in the sky. Here comes the Heart in the Sky from Warbird Thunder.
It's all right. Dude, I cannot believe that they just go vertical. Just hover it. I love it. Oh yeah, it was so loud.
These SNJ aircraft, CT and Buick approach, closing it nearly 375 miles per hour. And there you have the opposing loops. CT does a loop, and on the left, Mike Eberhard does a 1/2 of a Cuban 8 maneuver, 5/8 of a loop with a half a roll, and now he's got to put the pedal to the metal to catch up with Chris to get back in formation.
You can see the strut at Tanker's tail from all over here. I always see him on the radar flying.
Elegant and very simple, but it is challenging in that they maintain, like we're standing here on the ground all the way through the maneuver, and carve out an outline of like they were flying on the inside of a barrel, starting and stopping at the same altitude, airspeed, and heading, and using their elevators, rudder, ailerons, and throttles to maintain position and maintain one positive G.
That's it?
The United States phased the Texan out of military service by the mid-1950s, but it continued to serve for decades. Early days of the jet war in Korea, pilots had a great deal of difficulty spotting targets on the ground because they were going so fast. But they relied upon the There have been a number of sources that have reported the 12,000, some say 15. I read one source that said 22,000. Nobody really knows. As a matter of fact, the guy who was the historian, North American Texan aircraft, and also Vultee BT-13s were modified to look like Japanese Zeros and dive bombers and torpedo services for service members, veterans, and their families. Here comes the KC-135.
What a sound.
And some of the moisture had turned on white as it gets sucked into the intakes. Very rare sight. They'll be back to do some flybys, and we'll talk about the F-35A is the Air Force version. The F-35B is the Marine Corps version. And the F-35C is the Navy version. Each modified for its specific need to. The F-35 Joint Strike Fighter, powered by a Pratt & Whitney F-135 jet engine that is the most powerful jet engine on the face of the Earth right now, generating at full military power some 29,000 pounds of thrust, and at full afterburner 40,000 pounds of thrust. As Chris Lightning II, like we're seeing here today, that same F-16 turned into a 5G jet. To the persistence, to the incredible production facility, and also now a production facility being set up in Italy. Now you can watch there as they keep the nose off the ground as long as possible, using the airframe as aerodynamic braking to take it easy on the brake. Precision night bomber, and it can even act as a control node for pilotless aircraft. The pilot sits in the seat, the Coast Guard. We're going to see special. It costs probably as much as your house to make it work, but it provides the situational. As we see the aircraft go by, noticing the high wing, 2 turboprop engines, and the capability of tossing supplies out the back to assist a vessel or people in distress. The 144 has produced by the Spanish subsidiary of the European Aeronautic Defense and Space Company, EADS. It's first unveiled in And we are grateful that whenever we're on a boat and we're in need and we call out on Channel 16, is the KC-135R Stratotanker. Now I'm going to try to go live to the cockpit and say hello to the boom operator, Staff Sergeant Raphael Duncan. Raphael, how are you, partner? Hey, wave your boom at the crowd down here, would you? Hey, that's working, bud. That's working really well. Hey, good to have you and your crew, and I know you've got a good, probably better than anything else. And by the way, this year, back in 1955, Boeing test pilot Tex Johnston was demonstrating the new Boeing -80, which would become the Boeing 707, over Seattle Seafair. And he literally rolled the airplane in a barrel roll, maintaining 1G all the way around, and then turned around and did it again the other direction. And the president of Boeing called Tex Johnston, the test pilot, into his office the following Monday and read him the riot act. But Tex Johnston knew something that he thought would be not only Air Force aircraft, but Navy aircraft as well. The United States. So it takes a great deal of work and skill to land that way. Also, listen carefully, very quiet landing. There are a lot of airliners, some of which have the that have the similar engines that have, and it's from right here at Pease Air National Guard Base. Based on the Boeing 767 airliner, this has the capability of, without modification, using the flying boom method that we see here, but also the probe and drogue method for the Navy and the Coast Guard. And that's a special wing wag for all of us here today. As the crew today, Captain Jordan Gobbin, Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Turk, Major Eric Earl, who is the safety pilot, and the two boom operators, only one at a time, of course, Senior Master Sergeant Brett Peterson and Master Sergeant Michael Windy are aboard the aircraft.
How you doing today?
Doing great. Is this Jake?
No, Jake's not flying today. This is Lieutenant Colonel Matt. Pleasure to fly for our country.
And you got any family you want to say hi to?
Say hi to my wife Caroline Turk, my son Jacob, my daughters Millie and Bodie.
That's excellent, sir. Well, you got a couple more flybys for us, I hope.
Yes, sir. We're going to come by two more times. We're going to go to that E3 that's going to do it for us.
Okay, now this is different. You don't have to lie on your belly in this airplane, do you?
No, not anymore.
Tell us about the difference in how you operate the boom rather than laying on your stomach in the back.
This boom's all controlled by fly-by-wire, and it's all cameras. So we wear 3D glasses, and that's how we do the refueling.
And that keeps you in the air-conditioned portion of the airplane, makes it good for you, right?
Yes, sir. Sure does.
Excellent. Well, we'll look for at any kind of weather. I got distracted here because we're going to get another pass from the KC-46. But it can be refueled in air as well, but it's going to refuel that guy, the E3.
I said, well, I asked him about it, and he said, if you take it now and then, whatever, like, it's not going to well, when Chili's hurting,
There's the touchdown. You can see the smoke from the tires. Nose wheel touches down, the throttles come forward. They clean the airplane up, retracting the leading edge slats, retracting the flaps, and the power comes up, the nose comes up, and off they go again. The pilot calls for the gear to become retracted. And it's going to go up and hold as we wait now for the E3. All right, get your cameras on and hold them sideways again. This is a very rare sight around this part of the country. And I'm going to get my video going too because I want to get pictures of this.
And then narrator from the flight deck, we've got Lieutenant Sean Wallace, a Staff Sergeant James Rue, and we've got Lieutenant David Motel coming to fly this trip around. So appreciate you guys letting us fly over. As always, live free or die.
Hey, that's awesome. They're giving you big time applause down here. Thanks so much for doing the flyby, and have fun meeting the tanker on the way out.
All right, appreciate you guys.
There it is. There they are. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Pretty cool. is a tribute to the P-51, an airplane that many believe was World War II's greatest fighter. The first Mustang prototype was designed and built in a mere 117 days and flew for the first time in October of 1940. The British Purchasing Commission had approached Dutch Kindleberger, the president of North American Aviation, asking him if they at North American could build Curtiss P-40 Warhawks under license for the Royal Air Force. Those Wafa, during the Battle of Britain, during the summer and early fall of 1940, some 6 months before But when the British Purchasing Commission asked Dutch Kindleberger if he would build those P-40s under license, he said, nah, I don't want to build somebody else's airplane. But he had in his hip pocket a secret that very few other people had, and that was a new wing design from the National Advisory Council on Aeronautics called laminar flow. The NACA was the predecessor to NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. But that laminar flow wing, legend has it that 117 days later, the first Mustang came off the production line in California from North American's plant. It was outfitted with a an Allison V12 engine, the same type of engine that was in the Curtiss P. Schmidt and the Focke-Wulf FW-190s. And so some British engineers said, listen, we've got these Rolls-Royce Merlin engines in our Hawker Hurricanes and our Spitfires. Why don't we put one of those engines on the front of this Mustang airframe? They did it. And the Mustang became one of the most important fighters of all of aviation history, reaching over 400 miles per hour easily. Later versions actually reached 487 miles per hour. But in all, the Mustang, built initially for the British, totaled production of over 15,600 or so, depending on whose history book you're reading. If your numbers are different than my numbers, then you are right. But it's our company to build some 56. The sound is unmistakable. Today we've heard radial piston engines from Warbird Thunder with Chris and Butte. And if you'll look the streamlined fuselage, pilot Louis Horschel was born in Western New York, raised in Springville. Louis is proud to call this his home. His dad was a World War II veteran who worked on Mustangs in Europe, and he came home from the war and carved out a landing strip on their farm. And Louis Horschel soloed there decades ago. He formed a lifelong love, and there were cooling problems with it. And so the engineers at North American Aviation decided to separate the top of the radiator scoop from the bottom of the fuselage with a space, which they called a gun. In just a moment, we'll see Louis taxiing by, but I want to turn the microphone over to the gentleman who's going to tell you about the airplane that's right overhead. Please welcome, are you ready, sir? Eric Chang from the Paracommandos. Sir, you've got it.
Well, thank you for having me. So,
KC-46 overhead. Look at that. Just like the F-16 Fighting Falcon's intake for the jet engine, for the F-119 engine. And give Louis Horschel a big wave. It's the same type of aircraft that was flown by the Tuskegee Airmen, America's first African-American pilots that were initially shunned by the bomber pilots, but then they were made by request because of their dedication to stay with the bombers to protect them from the Luftwaffe on their runs. Sound now of these radial piston engines on Warbird Thunder, Chris Thomas and Mike Eberhard, as they fly in their Navy SNJ Advanced trainers. That buzzing sound, by the way, they're going to go out on the perch. Hot target, and Eric, I tell you what, these guys did a great job at the beginning of the show. I want to see another great jump from the Paracommandos today.
We're looking forward to it. So on behalf of the 73,000 servicemen and women spread. Our jump master, Sergeant First Class Stephen Travers, is hanging his head outside the ramp, looking for his release point. Now, you may have noticed earlier, we set out a couple of streamers, and they're using that information to calculate the offset for where they need to release. That C-130 traveling at 5,500 feet above your head. Our jumpers are lining up on the ramp as we speak. What you're going to see is what's known as a track out. Our jumpers are going to exit that aircraft, initiate their smoke right away. It's going to look like a waterfall spilling out towards the crowd line. And here we go, jumpers away. Now, as our jumpers are traveling in free fall, they work upwards of 120 miles an hour. The canopies that we're flying right now are a combination of big rigs, which are about 230 square feet, and little rigs that are about 170 to 190 square feet, designed for a great deal of maneuverability. These jumpers are experts in shooting accuracy. Our team combined has an excess of 40,000 jumps. We're combined from joint forces ranging from Special Forces, Army Rangers, MARSOC Raiders, Air Force SEER, and here comes our first jumper, retired Lieutenant Colonel Chris Fucci. Our next jumper, Army Ranger, Sergeant First Class Stephen Travers. Our number 3 jumper, Mr. Andy Serrano. Ladies and gentlemen, he is 62 years old. And our last, ladies and gentlemen, as we said, all of our jumps are posted on Instagram. Keyword search Paracommandos. Feel free to tag us, and if you've got any good photos, feel free to upload them. On behalf of General Benson and the Special Operations Command, thank you for having us.
It's giving you an opportunity for a drawing to win a Feblox drone with a 4K camera and auto return, a $200 value. So check out the Army displays around the show area and the static area. Drone, pretty cool. Although we're a no zone drone today. No drone zone today. The C-130 Hercules, United States Air Force, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, United States Coast Guard, and a number of other positive impact on the lives of patients around the world. Stop by the exhibit tent today and say hello to a team member. Portsmouth Regional Hospital, Pratt & Whitney, and White Birch Armory. I want to do a great big shout out to the folks at David Clark Company. They make the DC-1X electronic noise canceling headset corsets. Well, ladies and gentlemen, take a look. Inbound right now, Mike Eberhard from right here in New Hampshire on the wing with lead CT Chris Thomas, Warbird Thunder. CT is in the lead aircraft, and he resides in Virginia Beach, Virginia. He learned to fly at 17 with his dad, who is a former Navy. Is in the number 2 aircraft. He's from Miami, Florida. He's currently from Miami, Florida. The aircraft flying formation are really close to one another. Sometimes only 3 or 4 feet of separation. In the 1940s, had a version designated the T6, and the Canadian Armed Forces flew a version called the Warbird. Depending on whose history book you read, over 15,000 were made. Let's watch them now as they do a roll around in trail formation. Nice job, boys. That's the trail roll. The United States phased the Texan out of military service in the mid-1950s, but service continued for decades in developing countries. The Texan served at least 63 nations worldwide. It was usually in a training role and occasionally as a light attack aircraft. They're setting in for what is called a line abreast loop, I believe. The smoke is on as Mike Eberhard is looking 90 degrees directly to CT's aircraft. He will maintain that position throughout this loop, pulling about 4 times the force of gravity. This is exceptionally hard to do. Give it up for Warbird Thunder. That's the Heart in the Sky, and that's Warbird Thunder. Chris Thomas and Mike Eberhard. As they cruise at over 375 miles per hour, set up opposing loops. The white smoke you see is actually formed by using a paraffin-based oil that's used in the concrete industry to keep concrete from sticking to the forms. 2 points of a 4-point hesitation roll and pulling back through. And just figure 8 in the sky. At the end of the routine, he responded with 2 words in Spanish, Ocho Cubano, Cuban 8, and the name is stuck. And it's very, very elegant looking maneuver. They flew earlier. If you didn't see it, it's called a formation barrel roll. Exceptionally difficult and challenging for one airplane, multiplied more than twice when you got to put 2 airplanes into maintaining a 1 positive G roll around the or TikTok at www.warbirdthunder.com. From the left, CT and Buick. This time the trail barrel roll. Man, that's great flying. How about putting your hands together for CT and Buick? The photo pass from Warbird Thunder. We could not be asking for better weather than this. These aircraft weigh about 5,500 pounds. Down, pulling the power back and letting the main gear settle and the tail wheels. Rob Holland in the MXS. Let's watch this guy fly. It is crazy good. Starting off with a double hammerhead. Starts with a pinwheel around and makes it a double. Only a few performers in the world are able to do that maneuver. Rob Holland is brought to you by Vermont Watches, ADAX Aviation, Champion Aerospace, Afterglow Aircraft Solutions, MGL Avionics, Sling Pilot Academy, Full Stop Aviation, Accelerate, and Tubro Aviation. With 14,000 flight hours to his credit and experience in more than 180 types of aircraft, Rob Holland has a diverse background in aviation, including working as a flight instructor, banner tow pilot, commuter airline pilot, and a corporate pilot. But the last few years have been in the air show arena, doing things with his airplane that few other pilots in the world can accomplish. As he goes up over the top, watch the airplane, shield your eyes from the sun. He'll now go sideways and go for a double tumble and hold it still. Now watch carefully as he pinwheels the airplane around the longitudinal axis, actually makes the airplane spin like a top and then accelerates out of it. Nobody else is doing this kind of thing, and this guy is from Nashua, New Hampshire. He pushes to the outside, experiencing negative G's as he gets up over the top. Watch him now flip the airplane around and do 4 points of a hesitation roll, and then maximum performance aileron roll and a quarter back to the upright. Again, over the top. He goes for 1, 2 knife edge tumbles, 3 knife edge tumbles, and recovers after 3.5. He spends a lot of his time creating new maneuvers and perfecting them. Tens of thousands of rehearsals to try to get it to work right. As a matter of fact, at the beginning of each air show season, Rob Holland goes down to Louisiana to his friends at Tubro Aviation and does 3 weeks of flying 3 times a day as he does the forward flip 3 to 4 times a day to establish and build up his G tolerance and making sure his maneuver package is going to be absolutely perfect. He started his air show career back in 2002. Accelerating to over 250 miles per hour. Rob Holland now pulls back. Watch him go. Point rolls left and right, and aileron rolls. He'll stop it and goes into a torque roll. Nope, he'll do another forward flip on this one. 1.5, 1 3/4, and back down the 45 to his own smoke. 5-time world freestyle aerobatic champion. 11-time and current U.S. national aerobatic champion. 12-time and current U.S. national freestyle aerobatic champion. And in 2019, he was named an honorary Blue Angel, joining the ranks of Wayne Boggs, another honorary Blue Angel, as part of an elite group of Blue Angel family. Another pinwheel inverted, starting the roll rate. The MXS is built with exceptional carbon fiber materials, allowing it to stop the airplane in midair. Oh man! And then spin it around again. Give it up for your own guy, folks. That's Rob Holland. Amazing stuff. That is absolutely amazing. And we're going to go live to the cockpit in just a second. As he cools things off in the airplane, we'll be able to say hello to Rob and have him say hello to all of you. Rob Holland, it's Rob Ryder. What a great first half you just did for your home folks.
Thank you so much, Rob Ryder. Man, it really is an honor to be here back in New Hampshire. Hi for everybody. We got an amazing crowd down there. We're still ready to take a moment of your time. So I teach every one of you to help do me a favor. You see a military man and woman in uniform, and there's a lot of them here. Boy, that's it. Walk up to them, look them in the eye, shake their hand, and say thank you. Because their service, sacrifice, bravery, and dedication gives each and every one of us the freedom to share it with us. And from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to dedicate this heart to each and every one of them.
It looks great. Folks, make some noise so we can hear you in the cockpit. You are seeing one of the most creative pilots on the face of the earth as he claws his way skyward. Goes into a flat spin, a knife edge spin, an inverted spin. What a series where the airplane was literally falling at over 4,000 feet per minute. The inside tumble. A quick backflip, pulling back on the stick and mush, and now lets the nose fall toward the horizon and picking up speed once again, heading out to the right-hand side of the aerobatic box. .385 horsepower, powering this very lightweight MXS, which is stressed to plus or minus 16 times the force of gravity. Rob will experience moments of 12 positive G's, or 12 times his normal body weight at times. The slide winder, watch for the outside snap roll, and brings it right back into sliding flight. And then a torque roll. The engine turns the aircraft in the opposite direction as he backs it up. Sets up for the 5th gen, and then we'll head out to the back course to do his tribute to the Marine Corps' AV-8B Harrier, where he will turn this airplane into a stationary object in the sky. First, with the inside loop, he pulls back. We start the clock now. He's going to slow down, forcing it into the wind. There's 5 seconds in a hover. There's 10. He's getting quite a push, 15 seconds. There's 20 and 22 seconds in a hover. How about that, folks? This is your guy. How do you like Rob Holland? I can't hear you.
You want to watch this guy?
'Cause we're gonna be legends.
We get to see the top of the airplane and the bottom in a knife edge pass. 385 horsepower, the vertical stabilizer, and the skill of one incredible pilot keeping the thing in the air with the wings generating almost no lift. Now earlier, you got a chance to see see something very unique here because Rob Holland has not landed. Rob Holland is out there getting ready to race Hot Street 2. Hayden Prophet II. Is that the controls of Hot Street 2? With the afterburner going, these two jet engines will generate about 12,500 pounds of thrust. That's about a 2.5 to 1 thrust to weight ratio because the vehicle only weighs 4,800 pounds, 22 feet long, uses 150 gallons of diesel fuel per run. And those jet engines, he's taunting him. Oh boy, Rob Holland is ready to have fun with this. Are you gonna race him, Rob? Oh yeah. Hayden has created his own weather system out there. But eventually, he's going to set back up to our right, turn it around, and then he will spool up those engines to full throttle. Rob Holland will have a diving start. Hayden Prophet and Hot Street 2 will have a standing start. Let me ask, how many of you think that Rob Holland in the airplane will win the race? That's a hometown crowd. How many for the race? Hayden way out in front. Rob is catching up, but quickly deploying the parachutes, and Rob Holland scooting on by. All right, folks, give it up for the race with Rob Holland and Hayden Prophet. As we recover those guys, tremendous race on. Going to have an opportunity to give him away. also Staff Sergeant Maxwell Samets Thomas. Team Superintendent, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Viper Demo Team.
Now setting up for first aerobatic maneuver, the half Cuban. Watch as Ronald traces past purple figure eight over the demonstration area. As she returns to show center, Captain Fiedler will accelerate rapidly. Up inside, slide girl, by my side, girl, yeah, we can run this till the sun comes up. I made a deal with the man on the moon. He's gonna put it some more time. We got all night. Ready, set, let's roll. Ready, set, in the dogfight, the ability to turn tight is crucial. Watch now as Rebel shows you just how exceptional the F-16 is in a 9G turn. At show center, she'll bank sharply and accelerate through a tight. Pausing briefly at each 90-degree increment. Notice the precision at which these individual movements.
When they pull up, they give me loose. Yeah, jump out, boys. I'm like it is. I cannot lose. Give me the loot. Was off the repeat, had up at post. Had to hit my old town and duck the news. For a while of lockdown.
Low altitude threats. She will then quickly transition from a horizontal flight into the vertical. Ladies and gentlemen, from your left, it's the Falcon turn.
If you catch me at the
Captain Fiedler's now lower the landing gear.
On the brakes, it's a nice way to do it, and she's going to keep everything really, really gentle all the way in. And that, ladies and gentlemen, puts a wrap on our flying for today. You have been an awesome audience. Thanks for sticking around as long as you have. Just an awesome audience today. Some of the aircraft will remain open for you to visit. Don't be in a hurry going home because there's going to be a lot of people who want to keep you healthy.